Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is a very controversial game in the Yakuza community. Not too long after the game came out, people started expressing their dislike of the game's ending. One of the main criticisms leveled at the game was the fact that it kind of did character assassination to Ichiban. One of the main themes of the game was redemption and forgiveness, which are two things that Ichiban heavily abides by. He believes that anyone has the capacity to change, no matter what wrongs they've done, even if they were done to him. And that's exactly what he does to three key characters in Infinite Wealth. Those characters being Chitose Fujinomiya, Eric Tomizawa, and Eiji Mitamura. And people really didn't like that. They really didn't like the fact that Ichiban forgave these characters so easily. And of course, this video is about Chitose Fujinomiya specifically. In this video, we're going to analyze this character and examine why people didn't like the fact that Ichiban forgave her for the things that she did to him. So let's get to that. Chitose is a very interesting Yakuza character. Given the fact that she was born in 2000, she's the first major Yakuza character who's a part of Gen Z, which also means she wasn't even alive when Kiryu took the fall for Nishiki and went to prison. She was literally born in the year that Ichiban went to prison. On top of that, she's probably the least Yakuza character, if that makes sense. Most playable characters in this series were either involved in crime or something adjacent to crime, like being in the police force or being a moneylender. And if they weren't involved in crime, they were probably a larger-than-life character like Shinada, for example, who was destined to be a famous baseball player. Or they, again, worked in an industry adjacent to crime, like the nightlife industry, for example. My point is that Chitose is absolutely not any of those things and then some. She's the closest a playable Yakuza character has gotten to just being a regular-ass person, which is ironic because the fact that a character who was born into an extremely wealthy family is also probably the most normal playable Yakuza character is a testament to just how crazy the playable characters in this series usually are. Anyway, as I just mentioned, she was born into the extremely wealthy and politically significant Fujinomiya family. Now, I called them a family, but they weren't really a real family. As Chitose describes it, her father never really cared about her and her mother. They were just accessories used for the purpose of heightening his public image and his company's public image. Because of this, Chitose had a very unhealthy relationship with her parents, especially her father. On top of that, everything including her hobbies, schoolwork, and even who her best friends were was dictated by her parents, meaning she never really had any real friends. They would even make her housekeeper spy on her to keep her in check. Despite that, outside of controlling her life and hobbies, she didn't spend that much time with her parents. So much so that her upbringing was basically left in the hands of other people. One of those people included her defense instructor. They had and have a very good relationship. Apparently, he was the one who'd crack jokes and the only one who'd smile and forgive her if she did something stupid.
父や他の使用人はいつも澄ました感じでいたけど、ジーヤだけは別。ちゃんと笑える冗談言えるのはジーヤしかいなかったし、私がバカやってもいつだって笑って許してくれた。
Since she was very lonely and isolated, she would find other outlets to express herself to others and make genuine connections. The main one being live streaming. Yes, because she was lonely and her parents controlled almost every aspect of her life, she became a live streamer. You should understand why I think she's the most non-Yakuza character now.
そんな毎日の中で誰にもバレないように夜布団に潜ってスマホの明かりを隠してたたら密かとして配信している時だけ私は私でいられた。変な話でしょ。名前も姿も声まで変えてるっていうのに。
Even 10 viewers would make her happy and feel a sense of belonging. Live streaming remained her reprieve until the year 2019. In that year, her father's company, the Fujinomiya Group, accidentally had a sinking accident on one of their cargo tankers, killing all the people inside, and her father, who was obviously the chairman, tried to cover it up. Then, in a strange turn of events, Chitose accidentally found informational documents relating to her father's suppression of the accident, and decided to expose her father's company on her live streaming channel. And her audience's reaction? Well, they were very indifferent, and there weren't that many viewers on her channel to begin with, so it didn't make much of an impact. After that, her channel kept trudging along for another year until a dude named Eiji Mitamura contacted her with the intention of helping her brand her channel better. She agreed, and then he basically revamped her whole channel and her commentary style. He made it more provocative and aggressive, and he also designed a new avatar for her. After the revamp, she redid the Fujinomiya Group call-out stream, now with Mitamura script. And since it was more provocative and aggressive this time around, her live stream attracted more viewers this time. So much so that mainstream outlets couldn't ignore it.
いかに富士宮が格差社会の上位にいるか、どれだけメディアを言いなりにさせてるかってね。その台本通りに改めて告発した動画は本当にバズった。ネットの情報も一定数の拡散に達するとメディアも無視できなくなる。
Things got so heated for the Fujinomiya group that Chitose's father told her to get out of the country until things cooled down. So at the behest of her father, she decided to study abroad in Hawaii as an international student. Alongside her studies, she continued to run her live streaming channel with Mitamura. Meanwhile, back in Japan, a former Yakuza named Ichiban Kasuga is trying to build a normal life outside of the criminal underworld, especially considering the fact that most of the major Yakuza clans have dissolved now. He finds a job at a company called Hello Work, an employment agency, and since he still cares about all of his fellow former Yakuza trying to integrate into regular-ass polite society, he uses his position in Hello Work to find jobs for all of these ex-Yakuza to help them turn their lives around. He does this job comfortably and happily until the year 2023.
こんにちは、皆さん。タタラチャンネルへようこそ。早速ですが、今回の告発はこちら。この男、名前は春日一番。
Oh! And would you look at that, the very channel that Chitose is running is exposing, quote-unquote, an innocent guy who's just trying to build a new life, spreading lies and misinformation about him. What happened to exposing people who are actually villains? Let's go back to Hawaii. As time went on, Eiji Mitamura started making scripts for Chitose's channel that dove into more controversial topics. He basically started using her live streaming channel to actualize his vendetta against all the Yakuza who were trying to turn their lives around. Because a few years before his partnership with Chitose, the Yakuza did him very wrong. We won't get into the details of that because they're not related to Chitose, but all you need to know is that he hated the Yakuza because of something bad they did to him in the past. And he used Chitose's live streaming channel to seek revenge on them.
でもだんだんエイジの持ってくる話がおかしくなってきた。ある時元ヤクザが社会復帰するふりをして悪毒やってるっていう台本を渡されたの。最初はこれも真っ当な告発だと思ってたけど、何度か配信を続けるうちにだんだん普通に社会復帰しようとしてる人たちの過去の経歴までことさら暴き立てるようになっていったの。もう償いの住んでる過去の犯罪とかそういうことを。
Chitose started to feel very uncomfortable about what Eiji was doing with her channel and tried to quit, but Eiji threatened to expose her identity as a member of the Fujinomiya family to the whole world, so she was forced to continue their partnership. Let's go back to Japan. After being fired from his job, Ichiban Kasuga finds out that his biological mother, Akane, is still alive and in Hawaii, so he's put on a flight to Hawaii to meet her. After a bunch of shenanigans again, he eventually arrives at what's supposedly his mother's house. He opens the door and he finds Chitose? Let's go back to Hawaii. Wait a minute. We're already in Hawaii. I forgot about that. But you know what I mean. Let's focus on Chitose now. After Ichiban's mother supposedly goes missing, leaving her house empty, Eiji, knowing about Akane's connection to Ichiban, orders Chitose to pose as Akane's housekeeper to gain Ichiban's trust and use him as a vehicle to look for Akane because for some reason, he's after Akane. And in this scene, we're introduced to Chitose proper. And just like Jun Oda, Chitose's backstory is only revealed later in the game, way after her introduction. But unlike Oda, Chitose is supposed to be redeemed in the eyes of the audience. Whether or not she was actually redeemed is the very topic of this video. So what does she actually do in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth? How is she depicted? Well, firstly, I'm going to talk about one of the most notable things she does in this game. For one, after violating Ichiban, she uses his passport to get into a place called District 5, the headquarters of a criminal gang named the Barracudas. Yes, this skinny 24-year-old woman walked into a place filled to the brim with sweaty, muscular delinquents with tattoos all over their bodies. But luckily, she got defense training, remember? And after getting into District 5, she becomes acquainted with the Barracuda's boss, Dwight Mendez. She does this thinking he knows where Akane is. And once they become aware of the fact that Ichiban and Co. had entered District 5, Dwight ordered Chitose to come into direct contact with them and then trick them into thinking she's on their side and then ultimately lead them into a trap Dwight laid out. She doesn't do that and defects to Ichiban's side. Why? Well,
一応聞いておこうか、千歳。なぜ私を裏切った？
春日さんたちにつく方が私にとって都合がいいって思っただけよ。だってこの人すごいバカだから。こんな考えに裏表がない人初めて見た。
speaking of that, let's talk about her relationship with Ichiban. Their relationship gets off to a very rough start, and that's because she literally pretends to be friendly and even romantically interested, though I must add that the latter probably isn't pretending. We'll get to that. She tries to seduce him. That doesn't work.
おいおい。
やっぱり春日さんっていい人。ねえ、春日さん。
なんだい？
茜さん、今日は帰ってこないんだけど。
俺はとんだ過方問題。ハワイに来た甲斐があったって問題。本当に嬉しいぜ、千歳さん。でもすまねえ。俺は心に決めた人がいるんだ。
恋人さん？
だったらよかったんだけどな。
And then she drugs his drink, to which after that she strips all of his clothes off and steals most of his belongings and then leaves his naked body on the beach, literally hoping to get him arrested for public indecency. And that's very fucked up. So why did she do all of that? Well, for one, she wanted to defy Eiji's orders so she could finally break away from him. So out of desperation, she does all of this fucked up shit to Ichiban to give Eiji an excuse as to why she didn't use Ichiban to look for Akane, which in a messed up kind of way actually helps Ichiban in the long term because he was a target of Eiji's, if you really want to be generous to Chitose. But even if that were true, she didn't have to drug him and then steal all of his shit. On top of that, she had already ruined Ichiban's life before that with her tabloid-like live streaming channel. And yeah, she eventually joins Ichiban's party and they supposedly become friends, but that doesn't take away from my point. So she did all of these horrible things to Ichiban, right? Now what if I told you she also had romantic feelings for him? There's a really beautiful looking scene with Ichiban and Chitose on a Hawaiian beach. It's an awkward but notable scene, but before I talk about its contents, I really want to emphasize just how nice it is to look at. The lighting and color grading are absolutely amazing, and they give the scene a very tranquil vibe. And because of good facial animation, her feelings for Ichiban really come through the screen, so much so the audience can feel it. Well, at least that's what happened to me when I first watched this scene. Anyway, in this scene, they have a deep conversation about family and just life in general.
いいな、一番は。
何がだ？
私の家のこと話したでしょ。富士宮家のこと。私は家とか家族とか血縁とか大嫌い。そういう一般的には綺麗に聞こえる言葉が私の人生をずっと呪いみたいに縛り続けてる。だから一番の生き方がすごく自由に見える。
And there's Chitose reinforcing her disdain for her blood family, quote unquote. And Ichiban makes an interesting suggestion to Chitose in response to that.
ごめんね。金持ちのないものねだりなのは分かってる。
なあ、ちいちゃん。家出しねえか？
はい？
家出だよ、家出。手伝うぜ。俺、組で夜逃げの仕事手伝ったこともあるんだよ。
ちょっと、これでも真面目な話をしてたんだけど。
俺も真面目に話してる。ちいちゃんが家から出て、自由に生きてってんなら手貸す。富士宮家ってのがどんなもんか知らねえが、そいつらの手の届かねえ場所にちいちゃんを連れてってやるさ。ちいちゃんは命の恩人だからな。そんくらいお安いもんよ。
あのさ、一番。
ん？
そのセリフ、ほとんどプロポーズだよ。わかってる？
Chitose, It definitely did not sound like he was about to propose. That sounds like projection to me. I mean, just look at your face.
なんでそうなるんだよ。
いやいや、そう受け取るのが普通だって。
マジかよ。プロポーズって言葉はトラウマなんだよもう。やっぱ俺が分かってねえとこで怒らせちゃってんだろうな。
ちょっと勝手に落ち込まないでよ。
おお、悪い悪い。心の古傷がばっかり開きやがってな。変な風に聞こえちまったんならすまねえ。言葉のあやってやつだ。忘れてくれ。でもよ、ちいちゃんの力になるってのはマジだ。そいつはできれば忘れねえでくれ。
あっそう。こんなバカ初めて見た。
Yeah, he's clueless because you're not being transparent about your feelings, girl. And that's because you know he'd reject you because you already know he has his heart set out for someone else. Not to mention the age gap between you two. And on top of this scene, there's also a karaoke song with Chitose that makes her feelings for Ichiban very apparent. Now, why does Chitose have romantic feelings for Ichiban? Well, it's because Ichiban is one hell of a guy. He's got an infectious, kind, and empathetic personality. And he's very attractive too. He's literally the perfect package. So I understand why Chitose feels the way that she does. But she still seems to have no problems with betraying and hurting Ichiban, despite her romantic feelings for him.
ええ、予定通り春日一番と一緒にいるわ。いいじゃない、結果オーライなんだし。なんなら当初の計画よりも信頼は得られてるわよ。
Despite joining his side, she's still working under Eiji Mitamura's boot and giving him intel on where Ichiban and Ko are and when they find Akane. And they do eventually find Akane. And then they try to take her to a safe house. Now things seem fine at first, but then Chitose starts to feel guilty about her betrayal and finally comes clean about what she's been doing all this time.
ごめんね、みんな。私はずっとこいつに脅されて逆らえずにいたの。
And that's when the Barracudas come in and kidnap Akane and the child she's taking care of. That child's name is Lani, by the way. Yeah, because of Chitose, a child is kidnapped by a criminal gang. And from this point onwards, Chitose tries to redeem herself. They eventually find where Lani is, and it's Chitose that puts her life on the line to try to rescue Lani.
ラニはどこ？
参ったな。
ラニ。
ちいちゃん危ねえ。
Now, those aren't the only things that Chitose does to redeem herself. What she does next involves her father's company, the Fujinomiya Group. Apparently, the Fujinomiya Group is involved with a scheme to ship toxic waste to a small island off the coast of Hawaii in collaboration with a religious cult called Palekana. And by the end of the game, when facing one of the culprits behind Lani's kidnapping and the toxic waste scheme, Chitose ultimately makes the decision to start live streaming to expose the scheme and her father's involvement in it. Along with her father, surprisingly.
もしもーし、聞こえますか？
はい、聞こえます。
誰だ？
よかった。では、お名前伺えますでしょうか？
私、富士宮和成と申します。富士宮グループの会長を務めております。
富士宮って。
A few months later, Chitose decides to take over the role of chairwoman of the Fujinomiya Group to steer the company in a different direction than the one her father was taking it in.
ラニもそうだけどよ、千歳にはかなわねえよ。
彼女も茨の道を選びましたね。自ら不正を告発した富士宮グループの会長を背負って立つとは。
So does Chitose adequately redeem herself? I'd say yes. Although I'm not sure if she'll be successful in trying to reform her father's company, because at the end of the day, most businesses are in it to make a profit, so I don't know how she'll balance her interests and the profit motive. Nonetheless, she did horrible things throughout Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And yeah, her backstory is very sad, and it's easy to understand why live streaming and exposing corrupt people was her reprieve. But that doesn't change the fact that she did a hell of a lot of damage to people's reputations and careers, and was literally the reason a child got kidnapped. That child will definitely need trauma therapy in the future, partly because of Chitose. But I'd say what she does beyond that point is commendable. She exposes that toxic nuclear waste scheme and reveals her father's involvement in it. And then she sets out to make his company do more positive things. And that redeems her in my eyes. But what about yours, dear viewer? Was she redeemed in your eyes or nah? Comment on your thoughts down below because I'd love to hear them. And if you liked the video, make sure you subscribe for more because I have a really big video about a certain Yakuza character who has a smoking addiction coming out very soon. So please subscribe to stay tuned for that one. It's gonna be really big. And like the video too for good measure. Anyway, thanks for watching.